Okay, so this is the update for my health. Um, if you catch me looking at my reflection, it's because this is the third time I've tried to film this, but my GoPro seems to be freezing up after this new 3.0 update, so forgive that. A couple of warnings before this video. If you don't want to see me not ride, I'm not going to be riding my bike tonight on this video, so if you're not interested in just hearing about me talk, I'd skip the video right now. Second thing, if you don't want to hear about graphic things or see any graphic pictures, I would recommend that you skip this video because I am going to be talking about my injury and also putting some pictures of some of those injuries on this video in post. So one more thing, I'm using a little bit different audio setup today. I'm using a GP10 Sena backpack and my SMH10 Sena microphone, so the quality might be a little different, but this is also sort of like a test thing. I don't know if I like this or not yet, but we'll see. So I guess to start off with, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I've been in an accident about a month ago. It was a Friday morning, and I was going to work, and usually I don't film on my way to work, but I figured, I'll turn the GoPro on. 30 seconds later, I'm on the ground with a broken collarbone. I was in an I was going through an intersection. I didn't have a stop sign, um, and then on the perpendicular street there was a stop and a stop. I was going, and an old man didn't stop or slow down or look, and he crossed through the lane of traffic, and I hit him right in front of his front tire. I had maybe 2 or 3 seconds to react, but it was not nearly enough time. So I hit him, and I flew over about a lane of traffic, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but my helmet didn't even touch the ground. I landed right on my shoulder, and I knew exactly when it happened that that my shoulder was messed up because I could feel just some grindage in my shoulder. I could hear the noise. My shoulder wasn't moving right. I knew that I had broken it as soon as I had landed. Anyways, um, and I'm not going to get into much about the accident because I already have the video edited and ready to go, but my insurance guys told me not to upload it, and I am going to upload it, but I'm going to wait until I get a settlement. I don't want to affect me getting any money from my wrecked motorcycle or any of my medical coverage, so please be patient with that, but I will upload it as soon as possible. Um, so, I get into I'm waiting, probably wait about 5-10 minutes for the ambulance to arrive, and the shoulder was obvious. It was the first thing that I knew was wrong. When I sit down in the ambulance, I feel like I pissed my pants. And I thought maybe I was just, excited, but then I thought, maybe I could have had some trauma from hitting my gas tank um, on the accident. So I feel like my bladder emptied, and I look down at my crotch, and I've got blood all over right here. But, I mean, it wasn't painful in any way. My wife saw the blood, and she started crying, and they told me to take my pants off. Took my pants off, and it looked like somebody had squirted like a half bottle of ketchup into my boxers. And it was just like, okay, great, what is this? And that's, I think, and then right after that, you saw the first video after the accident, riding the ambulance. I got to the ER, and the doctor, everybody was just talking to me so fast. It was kind of, I can speak Japanese, but it was kind of a lot to process. And so I just said omakase, which means just like I trust you, just take care of it, do your job, do what you gotta do. And as soon as I said that, this older doctor says to me in broken English, "Prepare your penis." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And then the next thing I know, this guy is holding my dick, and he is shoving a catheter inside of it. And I don't know if you know what a catheter is. It's a little tube, I don't know, probably about the same size as this HDMI cable, uh, that goes into my bladder. So, and that hurt like hell. That hurt more than any part of the accident. It hurt more than, you know, I would have rather broken my shoulder, my left clavicle, and my right clavicle than have anything else shoved into my penis again. So, um, shove that into my penis. They take me to, like, to get an MRI and to get some scans. And just as I suspected, my clavicle was broken. But it was a clean break. It wasn't like it was sticking out like this, or it was broken in two pieces. It wasn't a fracture. It was broken, but it seemed okay. So they gave me a really weak cotton brace. I've got the brace somewhere, but my house is kind of dirty. Don't want to go. My wife would kill me if I showed you the rest of my house right now. So, and I said, is this enough? Like, is this brace strong enough? And they said, yes, this is what it is. And I just, I'm over it. Okay, put the brace on. They say, if I can go to the bathroom by myself, then I can leave the hospital. Eventually, a couple hours pass. I go to the bathroom. They take out my catheter. And that hurt. That hurt just as bad as putting it in, maybe worse. Actually, putting it in is the worst part because it's so slow. And they sent me home. And at this point, they asked me if I wanted to have surgery or no surgery on my shoulder. And because it was a clean break, I said no surgery is fine. So a week later, by the way, in the meantime, my dick is just dripping blood. It's always bleeding. Every day I'm wearing this sort of like this cock sock, and it gets it gets full of blood every day. Got to change it 2 or 3 times a day. Because the bleeding wouldn't quit, I went to the doctor again, and they wanted to do a special scan on me. So I was thinking, oh, cool, it's just a scan, nothing invasive, nothing that would be, painful. And but I couldn't have been more wrong. They I don't know, let me see. Hold on. Let me get some light on in here. Maybe the video quality will be better. Yeah, so they take a syringe, like a fat syringe, like this thick, maybe about this long, and they just squeeze up a bunch of this like gelatinous, clear jelly. Of course, I guess that makes sense that jelly would be gelatinous, but and they say we're going to put this jelly into your penis, and then we can see your urinary tract better on this scan. And I'm thinking, oh God, more stuff to go in my dick. But like, of course, I'm in a badass, or not a badass mood. I'm in a pissed off mood because just like every department I'm going, it's just like, let's put this in your dick. Let's put this in your dick. But it's like, I care about my dick, so let's just do it. So they end up, and I'm hooked up to like a heart machine. I've got the thing clipped onto my finger and the pads clipped on my chest, so I can see my heart rate. I can hear my heart rate. I'm chilling out, laying down at a good, I'm like at 60, 70, 80 beats per minute as I'm like relaxing. But like as soon as this guy started squirting the jelly into my dick, I was up to like 120, and it was difficult. And then the doctor, if he just had to do it one time, that's cool. But he's like, he put it in, he's like, no, I didn't get enough in, we got to do this again. So I got 2 loads of jelly shot into my dick, and then they took a picture, which I'll put that up in post. And on the picture, you can clearly see I've got like a block in my urethra, or my urinary tract, and that's what was making it. It didn't explain the bleeding, but it explained the difficulty that I had urinating. And by the way, urinating was so difficult after this. Imagine, but by the way, this is gross, but I mean, whatever. Imagine you are trying to like push out the biggest turd you've had in your life, and you're pushing, I had to push equally hard just to get drops of pee to come out, and those drops of pee were very, very painful. But that kind of solved the mystery of why it was so difficult to urinate. Didn't really solve the mystery of the blood. Um, but I left, put on my clothes, put on my bloody cock sock, and left the hospital. Um, and also, at the same time that week, I went to another doctor because my shoulder started to feel really painful. So I wanted to, see what was going on. And I went there, and the doctor was basically like, "What do you want me to do?" Which kind of pissed me off because he's the doctor. You know, I'm not supposed to make my own diagnosis. He's the one who went to medical school. And I said, "I don't know. Let's take an X-ray." Okay, that's a good idea. Let's take an X-ray. I thought this is so stupid, but I'm glad that I suggested that because in the week my breakage had gone from something like this to something like this. So at this point, I decided that I was going to do surgery to make sure that I have a clean heel. Um, so I scheduled my surgery, and one day before my surgery, I was just doing my regular routine. By the way, Dick's still bleeding gradually, nothing serious, but one day before work, I just start pouring and squirting just a huge flow of blood out of my penis. Um, it's, y- it's, you will think that I'm exaggerating, but it was like I was taking a hard piss, except it wasn't piss. It was 100% blood, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop it. Actually, if I used the muscles to stop like the muscles you would use to stop your pee, it would just spray harder. So I grabbed a towel. I did, like to cover it up, thinking that like if I put pressure on it, it would stop bleeding. No, it kept bleeding, kept bleeding. Went to the shower because I was panicking. I didn't know what to do. Eventually sat on the toilet for a while to wait for this blood to stop. It wouldn't stop bleeding. Got very dizzy. I called my mother-in-law and kind of explained what was going on and just said, please give me a ride to the emergency room. Could have called an ambulance, but I live close enough to the hospital, and my mother-in-law works very close to where I live, so that was more convenient. Go to the emergency room, and we the doctor puts me in this chair, kind of like, I don't know if you've ever been to a gynecologist or seen a gynecologist chair, where they strap your legs in like this, but I was in this type of chair. Had a curtain right here, and there's a big TV to the side. And they said, we need to look and see what's going on. How do they look and see? They put a camera in my penis. And that wasn't fun either. And it was, I got this curtain here, so I can't see him, but I have got a live feed on a television right here, and I can see everything, you know, I could see him holding my dick to the point of this camera going into, and I could see through the tube and see, like, all the way into my bladder. It was painful and also very scary and, I don't know, kind of, unnerving seeing that happen. Um, but they see some bloody area, but the blood isn't flowing, so they said the blood looks like it's stopped. So what we're going to do is we're going to put another catheter in you, and you'll have this in for a week and a half. So here comes catheter number 2. It's in, it's uncomfortable, it hurt just as much as the first one did, but and it slows down the bleeding, but I'm still like every morning I look down and I've got like drops of blood like rolling down my catheter. It's gross. But that was that. Then the day after that, I had to check into the hospital for my surgery, and the surgery was not a big deal. Um, and by the way, one of my students is an anesthesiologist, so I asked if I could have her as my anesthesiologist. And at first, I thought that was a good idea because she speaks English and I like her. She's a friend of mine. She's nice. But what I didn't think about was that when you have these surgeries, you're basically like naked, right? Um, you go in a gown, but they take off the gown while you're in there, and they do the surgery, and they redress you. I forgot all about that. So my student saw me naked, um, and I asked her afterwards if she was like, if she not it was kind of joking. It's like, hey, did you see me naked? She said she didn't look, but we all know that she looked, right? Okay. But it was great. The surgery was not a problem. I don't remember anything, nearly no pain afterwards. Um, the doctors even said that I was making jokes in Japanese after I came out of my anesthesia, and I don't remember any of that. Spent 2 or 3 days in the hospital after that, um, and they put my bone was like this. They corrected it, and then they put a wire. I think it's a titanium wire through this bone, through the break into the next break, so it holds the breakage together at the right place, so that it can heal. Um, yeah, but the surgery was not a problem at all. I would go through 10 surgeries rather than have anything put into my penis. Um, so eventually get the catheter taken out, and it was painful. Ton of blood came out. A big blood clot came out when they took that catheter out, and but for the most part, the blood had slowed down, but it was still bleeding. The catheter was out for like 2 or 3 days, and then I was cleaning the house with my wife. I sat down, and she said, "You're bleeding again." And I thought, it's Saturday. The hospital's closed for the most part. They have like a skeleton shift at the hospital in Japan on the weekends. So I really didn't want to go to the doctor for this because I thought like they're just gonna put more stuff in my dick, so I might as well just stay home. But it was just like drip, 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 just a constant drip. I told my wife, or I probably told my wife because I've been pretty grumpy after all this shit. Um, Go to the store and buy some diapers, and I'll try to wait this blood out. Got my diaper on, and drip, 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 drip. I'm like Mr. Coffee, and sometimes the end will dry out, but I'm still bleeding internally from my dick, and eventually my body decides that it will purge this coagulated blood from inside. So I'm just every 5 minutes, I'm like purging this gummy worm of coagulated blood, and it's painful. But I think more than anything, it's really surprising. Um, so every 5 minutes, I have this spasm and I scream, and I've got just another load of blood in my pants. But I figure maybe I can just wait for this blood to stop. I wake up the next morning and it hasn't stopped yet. Not at all. And my bladder is full, and I try to go to the bathroom and nothing comes out. And the day before, my urination had become pretty normal, but this morning I woke up full bladder, could not make it a drop of urine to come out. So I gave up, I admitted defeat, and I went to the hospital again on the Saturday. And for example, on a Saturday, my doctor was a radiologist, but he was like looking at my dick. He was a radiologist doing urology. He admitted that he was in over his head, so he called my urologist in on his day off to come take care of me. He came, he did an ultrasound on my bladder, and they found that the blood was bleeding and going up my urethra and into my bladder, and I had a big ball of coagulated blood in my bladder that was blocking my urine flow. So what they did was they set me down, they put in catheter number 3, and and by the way, this is the only catheter that I was actually looking forward to because I had to pee so bad. My bladder was more full than it's ever been in its life. So they put that in, instant relief all of the blood, well, I should say a lot of the blood and all of the urine was able to go out. And to clean out that urine or that blood clot that was in my bladder, they took a syringe full of clean water and they pumped a bunch of clean water into my penis, and then they removed the dirty, bloody water. And they probably moved about 4 or 5 liters of water, distilled water, in and out of my bladder. But it didn't it didn't take care of any of the problem. So I go back to the chair of death, the gyno chair, and so I'm sitting like this again, and then the camera goes. Well, actually, this time they were thoughtful enough to give me a shot. They gave me there's a big old needle, and they gave me a shot in between my vertebrae, and my ass and my legs went numb. Unfortunately, though, my penis was not numb. I felt like I had 100% feeling in my penis, which is the whole reason why they gave me the shot, is so that this whole procedure would not be painful. It was painful as hell because my penis was not affected by this shot they gave me. Anyways, I'm back in the gyno chair, and the camera goes in, and they're looking, and it's just messy. There's just blood all in my urethra, all, but my bladder, and it's just, my bladder's full of blood. So somebody wheels in this cart. It's like my first torture set by Fisher Price. Just a bunch of stainless steel tools, tubes, shafts, and I can't see what's going on. But every once in a while, I hear like a clanging. They're grabbing a new tool. I feel just who knows what going into my dick, but definitely like metal rods and stuff. And I feel like they were somehow pulling the coagulated blood out of my bladder through my penis. And for the second time, after it was all cleaned up, they said, "Oh, it looks like the blood has stopped. So we're just gonna put a catheter in you." And that really pissed me off because I feel like that's the first time this happened. That's what they did. The second time, I feel like we should be looking for new solutions, but this was their solution. Pissed off about that. But instead of a regular catheter, they gave me this like Mondo catheter, maybe about the size of a drinking straw. It was terrible. But the only highlight of this day is the doctor mentioned to me, he said, "Ah, your urethra is longer than normal." I was like, "Oh, yeah, my urethra is longer than normal. That's pretty cool." Other than that, day was the shittiest day of my life. Had probably the whole, everything in the urology department had been probably in my dick that day. So they put me in this. They put this giant catheter in. They said they'll take it out in a week, and I had to spend the night in the hospital again. Back to my shoulder. So after the surgery, I could barely move my arm. I had to use all of my strength just to lift my arm. And every day, I was gradually getting my feeling back. I could move pretty naturally again, but I had a very strong pain in my shoulder because the wire they had put in seemed to be backing out on its own. And I went to my doctor, and he said maybe the wire will pop out of your skin. If that happens, we'll have to do another minor surgery and, tap it back in with a hammer or something. And it's still poking. It's still poking out, and it still hurts. But compared to all the stick stuff, like, I don't even care. Going back to, so that's basically all my shoulder stuff. I'm feeling pretty confident about my shoulder. Going maybe a week later, they take the catheter out, the big one, and there's no blood, and I'm feeling pretty good. The doctor said do nothing. Don't ride a motorcycle, don't ride a bicycle, don't have sex, don't think about having sex, don't even think about having an erection. So that's what my life is like right now. But I'm worried because I don't have, I'm not feeling as good as it. There's definitely something is different with my penis now. I'm hoping that it will heal over time, but I won't be able to really investigate what's wrong until I've let this current injury heal for about a month. So that's still pretty scary. That's an ongoing thing. I went to my orthopedist, and he says, don't do anything for 3 months. You know, and I bought my bike last week, maybe, yeah, last weekend, I guess 2 weekends ago. And I said, really? Like I can't do anything for two, I can't do anything for 2 weeks, or sorry, 3 months. And he said, it's not impossible, but my recommendation is 3 months. So I told him, okay, I'll be riding a bike again in 1 month, and I'll be very careful. The problem is that if I crash, or if I fall down within the next 3 months, that wire could snap, and then it will be very difficult to take it out of my bone. But I need to be riding again. It's kind of it's really important to me. It's kind of a lifestyle thing, right? So I'm gonna be on the bike, maybe hopefully in a week or two, but I'm feeling about 80%. Obviously, I'm still worried about my dick, but shoulder, I'm confident that it's healing properly, um, and hopefully, my dick will be better over time. But I guess that's the main thing. Um, be careful out there. Hindsight being what it is, I could have probably avoided that accident if I had been going a little bit slower on that side street, even though it was 100% his fault for blowing that stop sign. I don't care whose fault it was. I could have saved myself my motorcycle. I could have saved myself a lot of paperwork, a lot of dealing with the police, a lot of dealing with insurance, a lot of money lost if I had just been careful. So I guess my advice to you, take your risks when you want to take your risks, but the consequences, even when you're not going crazy, your consequences are gonna be there, and you gotta mind those. So be careful, be safe. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you in about a week or two on my new CBR 1000RR. Never rode a leader bike before, so that'll be interesting for me to share that with you. Um, and let me know what you think about this new audio. Let me know if you like the old one better. I'm still not sure. But yeah, that's all. Thank you very much. Bye.